If you think building a single 90 million peso mansion in Portofino Heights or Alabang West is an efficient wealth play, your math is broken. A legacy single-family build leaves you exposed to a sub 4% gross yield and total vacancy risk. But reconfiguring that exact same lot into 3 distinct titles pivots you from a lifestyle trophy to an optimized income cluster, around 3 times the income stream. The playbook along the Portofino Heights and Alabang West corridor is mechanical. Step 1. Audit the village deed of restrictions for minimum lot size limits. Step 2. Execute an LGU-approved consolidation subdivision plan to split the titles. Step 3. Engineer for high-yield utility using compact luxury layouts. Instead of waiting months for a single high-ticket tenant, you spread your risk across 3 premium rental units, yielding up to 480,000 pesos combined. You are manufacturing immediate equity, where the average market buyer only sees raw dirt. Stop building low-yield monuments to ego. Watch our full forensic analysis to trace the exact line-by-line financial metrics and structural mechanics behind the micro-subdivision playbook. Watch it right now. Look at this lot. 600 square meters of prime southern Metro Manila dirt. Most people see this and think, okay, I'll build one massive 5-bedroom mansion with a 4-car garage and a swimming pool. They'll spend 50 million pesos on the land and another 40 million on the construction. Total investment? 90 million pesos. They think they're winning because they own a palace. But here's the thing. When they try to rent that palace out, they're lucky to get 250,000 pesos a month. In the real world, the world of spreadsheets and ROI, that's a 3.3% gross yield. After maintenance, taxes, and village dues, you're barely beating inflation. You aren't an investor. You're a hobbyist with an expensive trophy. Now, imagine a different scenario. Imagine taking that same 600 square meter lot and instead of building one ego-driven mansion, you strategically reconfigure the parcels. You turn that one lot into 3 distinct titles. You build 3 high-end, right-sized luxury villas. Each one rents for 150,000 pesos. Total monthly income? 450,000 pesos. Your construction cost stays roughly the same because you're building the same total floor area, just distributed differently. But your income? It nearly doubles. This isn't a theory. This is what I call the micro-subdivision playbook. It's how the smart money in the South is pivoting away from big box houses and toward high-yield clusters. Today, I'm going to show you the math, the legal hurdles, and the forensic analysis of how to turn one house into 3 rentals, legally and profitably. My name is Remy from Rem Club, and I educate the average Joe, real people, just like you, the intricacies of real estate in southern Metro Manila. If you're someone who is looking to learn more about real estate, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, I've spent 30 years in this industry. I've seen the brochure side of real estate where everything is luxury and lifestyle. But I've also seen the forensic side, the side where we look at the numbers until they bleed. And right now, the numbers are telling us that the traditional single-family rental model in villages like Portofino or Alabang West is broken. If you want to actually build wealth, you have to stop thinking like a homeowner and start thinking like a developer. Here's what most people don't realize. The market for 300,000 peso a month rentals is incredibly thin. Think about it. Who can afford that? Multinational CEOs? Expats? Sure. But how many of them are looking in the South at any given time? Not many. When you build a massive house, you are narrowing your exit strategy. You are fishing in a very small pond with a very big net. Psychologically, we are conditioned to want more. more space, more rooms, more status. But in real estate economics, more often leads to diminishing returns. It's like buying a massive 24-inch pizza for yourself when you're only hungry for 2 slices. You paid for the whole thing, but 80% of it is going to waste in the fridge. In a luxury village, space is the pizza. If you build a house that's too big for the average high-income family of 4, you're paying for cold pizza floor area that no one wants to pay rent for. This is where it gets really interesting. There is a sweet spot in the rental market. In the South, especially near the Evia Corridor or the Alabang West Parade, there is a massive underserved demand for compact luxury. These are young families, successful entrepreneurs, or empty nesters who want the Portofino address. They want the 24/7 security. They want the prestige. But they don't want a 6-bedroom house that requires 4 helpers just to keep the dust off the chandeliers. They want 3 bedrooms, they want a modern, sleek kitchen, they want a small, manageable garden, and they are willing to pay a premium for it. When you subdivide, you aren't downgrading the neighborhood. You are right-sizing the inventory. You're moving from a 3% yield mansion trap to a 7% or 8% yield income machine. Let's get into the math. Put on your analyst hat for a second. We're going to use a real-world example from a village like Alabang West or Portofino Heights. Scenario A, the traditional build. Lot size, 600 square meters. Lot cost, 48 million pesos, at 80,000 pesos per square meter. Structure, 1 massive house, 500 square meters floor area. Construction cost, 40 million pesos, at 80,000 pesos per square meter for high-end finish. Total investment, 88 million pesos. Projected rent, 250,000 pesos per month. Gross annual income, 3 million pesos. Gross yield, 3.4%. Now, look at Scenario B. This is the micro subdivision playbook. Scenario B, the micro subdivision. Lot size, 600 square meters, split into 3 200 square meter lots. Lot cost, 48 million pesos. Subdivision/titling costs, 1,500,000 pesos. Surveyors, lawyers, DAR clearances, if applicable, and Register of Deeds fees. Structure, 3 modern luxury villas, 200 square meter floor area each equals 600 square meters total. Construction cost, 48 million pesos. It's slightly higher per square meter because you have 3 kitchens and 3 sets of utility connections. Total investment, 97,500,000 pesos. Projected rent, 160,000 pesos per unit times 3 equals 480,000 pesos per month. Gross annual income, 5,760,000 pesos. Gross yield, 5.9%. Wait, it gets better. In Scenario A, if your one tenant moves out, your vacancy rate is 100%. Your cash flow dies. You're bleeding village dues and maintenance. In Scenario B, if one tenant moves out, you still have 2 units paying you 320,000 pesos a month. You're still in the green. Now, you might be thinking,
Remy, is it really that simple to just split a lot in a high-end village?
The answer is no. It's not simple, but it is mechanical. It's a process, and most people fail because they don't understand the deed of restrictions. Here's the thing about villages like Portofino or Alabang West. They have what we call a deed of restrictions. These are the rules you agree to when you buy the property. Most people assume, and even some brokers will tell you, that you cannot subdivide lots in this village. But as an analyst, I don't take no for an answer until I've read the fine print. In many high-end developments in the South, the restriction isn't necessarily against subdividing the title, It's against density. The HOA, Homeowners Association, wants to make sure the village doesn't turn into a crowded townhouse complex. However, there is a legal path called Parcel Reconfiguration. If the minimum lot size in the village is 200 square meters and you own a 600 square meter lot, you are technically holding 3 minimum units. Here is the stepwise path. You don't just ask the HOA office, you hire a geodetic engineer to check the original master plan of the subdivision. You look for the minimum lot area clause in the DOR. You have your engineer create a consolidation subdivision plan. You take that plan to the city planning office, Las Piñas or Muntinlupa. If your plan follows the local zoning ordinances, the LGU generally has to approve it. This is the psychological part. You don't tell the HOA you're building rentals. You tell them you are building a family compound or multi-generational housing. You show them architectural renders that look like one cohesive estate, even if they are internally 3 separate units. Once the LGU and the Bureau of Land sign off, you go to the RD. They cancel your one title and issue 3 new ones. Suddenly, you've manufactured equity. Those 3 200 square meter lots, individually, are often worth 20% to 30% more per square meter than the one giant 600 square meter lot. Why? Because more people can afford a 16 million peso lot than a 48 million peso lot. You've increased the liquidity of your asset. Now, let's talk about the build. If you're following the analyst tone, you aren't building with gold-plated faucets. You're building for durability and aesthetics. In the South, we deal with specific conditions. It's hot, and in some areas, the soil can be tricky. If you're building 3 units, you need to use scale economics. You aren't buying 1 kitchen, you're buying 3. You go straight to the supplier. You negotiate a developer's discount. Solar integration. This is a non-negotiable in 2026. For a rental in the South, your biggest pain point for tenants is the Meralco bill. If you install a 5-kilowatt grid-tied solar system on each unit, something my team at Solarix does daily, you aren't just saving the planet, you're increasing the rental value. A tenant will happily pay an extra 10,000 pesos in rent if they know their electricity bill will be 15,000 pesos lower. Look, this is where most people get it wrong. They build for themselves. They pick tiles they like. They pick paint colors they like. Stop. You are building a product. Think of it like an iPhone. Every iPhone looks the same because it's a proven, functional design that people love. Your 3 villas should be a product. Clean lines, neutral colors, high-quality finishes in high-traffic areas, like the kitchen and bathrooms, and good enough finishes in low-traffic areas. This is what I call forensic value engineering. You spend the money where the tenant feels it, and you save the money where they don't. Now, you might be thinking, but Remy, won't the neighbors complain if I have 3 families living on 1 lot? Here's the reality. In villages like Alabang West, privacy is the ultimate luxury. If your architectural design is done correctly, with proper sightline analysis, the neighbors won't even know it's 3 houses. You use shared driveways, clever landscaping, and recessed entries. What if the market for rentals drops? This is why we do stress testing. If the market drops by 20%, your 160,000 peso rental becomes 128,000 pesos. 3 units times 128,000 equals 384,000 pesos. Your 97 million peso investment is still yielding nearly 5%. Compare that to the 90 million peso mansion in scenario A. If that rental drops by 20%, it goes from 250,000 to 200,000 pesos. Your yield drops to 2.6%. Which one is safer? The analyst always picks the diversified portfolio of 3 smaller units over the all-in bet on one big house. So what do you do if you're sitting on a lot right now or looking at one in Portofino? Get a copy of your TCT, Transfer Certificate of Title. Read the Memorandum of Encumbrances. Look for that minimum lot area restriction. Don't just guess, run the numbers I just showed you. If your lot is big enough to be split while still meeting the village's minimum requirements, you have a micro-subdivision candidate. Engage an architect who understands density design. Not someone who builds monuments to ego, but someone who builds machines for living. Before you even break ground, plan your roof orientation for maximum solar harvest. In the south, that's usually south-facing. This is the hidden ROI that most landlords ignore. If you're doing this as an investment, consider doing it under a corporation. There are tax advantages to depreciation and expense deductions that you just don't get as an individual. Look, the days of lazy real estate investing in the Philippines are over. You can't just buy a lot, wait 10 years, and hope to get rich. The real wealth, the generational wealth, is made by people who look at a piece of land and see utility that others miss. Turning one house into 3 rentals isn't just about the money. It's about efficiency. It's about not wasting the limited land we have left in southern Metro Manila. It's about moving from being an average Joe who follows the crowd to being an analyst who leads the market. If you found this breakdown helpful, if the math made sense to you, then do me a favor. Share this video with one person you know who is sitting on a vacant lot in the South. Let's stop building empty monuments and start building productive assets. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be doing more of these forensic deep dives into southern Metro Manila real estate every single week. My name is Remy. Remember, build efficiently, build economically, and I'll see you in the South. Go to our channel for full-length educational and data-driven videos on southern Metro Manila real estate. Visit our website for a list of various curated properties in the South. Email us if you would like to buy, sell, or lease properties. Till then, we'll see you in the South.